I start with solid clay. I hadn't ever been taught how to sculpt. So years ago, I took a chunk of clay and I put it down on a board, and I started kind of working at this solid piece of clay and ended up with a face, and then with another piece of clay ended up with a figure. And I had this incredible experience of having, it was as if there were things in the clay that wanted to be seen, and that my hands knew how to remove enough clay so they would appear. I mean, it really was that very, very magical experience of this thing emerging from the clay. And a body of work has just formed over the years. Have gotten more and more complex. I remove more and more clay. The pieces are three-dimensional, both outside and inside. I don't hollow them particularly. I don't have a solid thing that I'm hollowing. I have a form that is its own shape inside and outside. As I worked over the years, I was looking for more and more innovative ways to thin the clay, and I found myself more and more working with these as if they were a shell or a form in nature, because nature doesn't create a shape that it likes and then hollow it out at the bottom. It's all very three-dimensional, inside and outside, and I found myself working that way more and more, both with first with the smaller pieces that were shell-like, but then also with the taller pieces as well. Yeah, it's more like there's a form within there that's just waiting to come out, that's waiting to be exposed. And by taking the clay away, I'm doing that. So I'll start. This was 1 bag of clay, so 22 pounds of clay. It'll end up maybe weighing 7 or 8 pounds. I mean, an awful lot of clay has come off this, and more will come off when I finish up the bottom. I mean, at this point, I know that this top piece is finished. I mean, I still see some places where I see the marks that my tool made, and I will go in with another tool or go in with a brush, a wet brush, and I will smooth those areas out. But this shape, this form, this relationship of forms won't be changing. What changed recently was the opening. I was able to remove much more clay and open up the whole middle section, and they still were standing. And that's again how I will thin it, by following the form to the inside. It's a little tricky. I have some tools that I have found over the years that help me do that. At the bottom, again, I'll go in and I will take a lot of clay out from this spot rather than turning it over. I learned that I can just go in very deeply and I can get the exposed areas so that they'll dry and that they'll fire from the outside. And I think it makes for, I don't know, I think it's what brings it life. I was concerned when I was kind of doing this more and more, and pieces were getting more and more intricate, I would be going through rather extended periods of time where I didn't like the pieces because they had so much detail. They seemed so busy, but they didn't seem very alive. And I thought that what I would do very often with a painting, if you overpaint, it dies. You know, you lose the freshness of it, and I was afraid that I would lose the freshness. What I found is that by following the lines and making it very three-dimensional inside and outside, there was a point at which it actually came back to life, that it actually then just moved and flowed, and I would not have gotten that if I had not kept removing the clay. So one of the big lessons, I believe, I think in all forms of art making, is you learn to live with an extended period of discomfort. It's like raising kids. You love them, but you don't always like them. And you have to go through various times of not liking what you're doing, because you have to take it through that place to get to the place where it comes back to life. When I'm at the studio and it's quiet and I'm there for hours, it's a quality of time that I don't experience other places. I don't get hungry. I don't know what time it is sometimes. You know, it really, I just get totally involved in it. And it fascinates me because I'm usually doing kind of intricate carving. If someone had told me I'd like to do intricate carving, I'd say they were crazy, because I'm basically a very physical person. I'm much more of a person who would be throwing and wedging and whatever. This is very different. There's something about clay that my hands have always known. And there's something about my hands knowing clay that has just been a gift. It's just a gift.